Now you're stuck with us. Friends for life.
Bye. I examined her. I know we did.
Oh my God.
When we had that live last week, you literally said it doesn't matter if you have water, you have food, you have resources, you have a place to lay their head. It does not matter what you have to trade when it comes to a man that wants to take advantage of a woman. And that's what you said. And I was watching it and I was like, okay, number one, wow, Patrick was right. Number two, why the heck would they have left her by herself when they already called out? Number one, I was mad at Emma.
There was some character similarities between the young lady that was working on him and Christy from. Because if you remember, Christy did not finish her training to become I think it was a doctor or whatever she was working on to be.
Right.
We also discovered that the young lady that was working on Ish was the exact same way, and that she actually lied. And did she say she dropped out?
She said she flunked out. She's like, I was great everywhere besides the classroom.
Hello, and welcome to a special edition of the New Watchers on the Wall. And today we're discussing Earth Abides, and we had 2 episodes, right, Margot?
Yes, we did.
Yes,
Back to back.
back to back like Drake, right?
Yeah.
And we're doing something different because Candace is not in this particular video because she's out of town. But this episode, well, these 2 episodes has so much going on that we was like, we got to get on the mic. We got to talk our best. And Ish held it down. A lot of stuff was going on. We was right about a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So we just gonna get into it and have fun. So, the first episode that they released, it was a really interesting one. What were some of your favorite parts from that episode?
I'm trying to. They're running together.
They
because
are.
I feel I watched them both together. So what episode? I would probably say that I I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm glad that, like, even though time has gone by, Ish is still staying true to who he is in terms of like being like the father role model, in terms of like their Leo, what's called San Lipo, whatever the little settlement is called, right? Saint Wolf. I'm gonna say the English version, Saint Wolf.
San Lupe.
San Lupe, thank you. I was like, what is it called? Yeah, San Lupe. Because whenever a new person comes in, it's just like a broken record. He's not playing no games. He's like, I don't know about this. I don't know about that. Like, but he is still listens to his wife, right? Which I
Yes.
really like about him too. It's like he's gonna have his opinions. He's gonna have the way he does things, but he's still going to allow his wife to have a space to, speak and be herself as well. So that was probably one of my favorite parts. And I like that we actually got to see a little bit of tension with the brothers in the episode with Alex
Yep.
and Joey, because it's like I'm not a middle child. So if you're a middle child, put it in the comments. I want to hear, like, have you guys ever felt like Alex had? Because I'm the oldest, so I was like, I would have been off like Heather Bobether, like, because that's what I did. I was gone all the time, traveling, gone. I was never at the house. I was Heather
Crazy.
Bobether, so it was
Yeah,
interesting to see their dynamic.
I agree with you. That was going to be one of mine. So I'll talk about that one second.
Okay.
So there was a couple of things that stood out. One of which was I was glad they showed us how Ish was repaired from that mauling that he took on, in the previous episode. And in particular, the thing I thought that was really interesting was that there was some character similarities between the young lady that was working on him and Christy from. Because if you remember, Christy did not finish her training to become I think it was a doctor or whatever she was working on to be.
Right.
We also discovered that the young lady that was working on Ish was the exact same way, and that she actually lied. And did she say she dropped out?
She said she flunked out. She's like, I was great everywhere besides the classroom.
I was like, damn. And then so I was sitting there like, because if you watch if you're watching our channel, more likely than not, you also watch From. And we've always kind of laughed and was a running joke on our channel about how like Chrissy can do every damn thing under the sun to not be fully certified and credentialed without all of the equipment. She did a
Right.
lot of stuff in from. And here we see her doing something very similar, and that she was in there stitching up wounds. I mean, just doing a little bit of everything. But I was
Yeah.
glad to see, how that process happened with him.
Mhm.
The other
I
thing,
agree.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, yeah, I agree. I like that moment too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with you. It was interesting to see the tension that we saw occur between them. Um,
Mhm.
and it's like not why it's happening, but I guess apparently Ish was spending more time with the other kid because I guess the other one is more scientific-y, kind of more like what Ish is, and you could see that little divide starting to happen, which I thought was really interesting. I gotta
Mhm.
ask you, what did you think about them allowing their daughter to leave? I got some thoughts. What are your thoughts?
Oh my god. Okay. At first, I was like, there ain't no way that they're even entertaining this. Like, I understand, like, did they teach well, number 1, we know they didn't teach them about the dangers of people because when Alex goes up to Ish and Alex was like, "Where's Charles?" And Ish was like, "No, we had to take care of him all the way." And Alex was like, "You didn't teach me that in school." And Ish was like, "No, I did not." So I understand you know how to handle bears and lions and all that type of stuff, but they don't know how to handle other people. Even little Joey, when they first saw the caravan, he was so excited. He was like, they might need help. Like, we might need to help them. Like, da da da. And Ish was like, get your little tail in the car and we're driving off.
Get your
So
ass in the car.
get your ass in the car. But I do agree. I'm so glad Heather came back. That was so sweet. I was tearing up. I was like, she gonna get to see her brother. Yes. Um, but I do agree with her and what Mama said that they did need to go. But it's sad that they did need to go, right? Like, I understand you need to go out and you need to see the world, but it's sad that they had to go through that. To where oh boy left her. He wanted to go see somebody else. He was tired of her. You could tell from them episodes and how they did the preview. He was tired of Heather. He wanted to go see somebody else. And so I think I mean I'm not a parent, right? You're a parent. So I would actually like to ask you, since you are a parent, like what was your opinion of that and how did it make you feel and how would you have handled that situation?
So we've been talking about on our show, and we've been having a great intellectual debate on our show with us, and then even people who tune in. And one of the things that I was always concerned about was how Emma was just so um nonchalant with just letting everybody and their mama just come on and stay with them. And people would constantly say like, man, it's the end of the world, people are just trying to survive, they got enough resources. And I kept reminding people that it is more to it, especially if men come into the scene.
Yeah,
And
you
we
literally predicted that. You called that. You're like, it doesn't matter if you have food, shelter, none of that's gonna matter when he come up there and he see them women. You literally said that in our live, and that's what happened.
and that's exactly what happened, and we saw it. And that's what I kept thinking when they allowed their daughter to leave, because she's leaving with another young man. He's very young, they're both naive, they haven't been exposed to anything. You're getting ready to leave and go somewhere you don't got MapQuest, you ain't got Google Maps, you ain't got Waze, you don't have a cell phone to call if you get stuck. You might have a flat tire, the transmission might go out in the car. Simple things could happen. And what would you do to get back home? And Carter, I called him as soon as I started watching these episodes this morning. I was like, Carter, did you watch this yet? Did you watch this yet? I gotta get we gotta. And I was like, and we had this conversation, and he was like, look, he was like, people did that all the time back in the day. He was like, settlers and stuff, they would just pack up and go. They didn't know what was going to be afforded to them in the future. Nothing like that. So I got what he was saying in that realm. But if that was my children, y'all
Mhm.
not doing that shit. Or a couple or more people are gonna go with you or
Mhm.
something to that effect. Cause like to me, prime example of what we saw happen in episode 5 could have happened to them when they were out and about, especially when we saw that the young man she went out with died. So you out here as a woman,
Mhm.
all by yourself, a young woman, probably 19, 20. I don't think I could have did it, Margot. It's no way in
Mhm.
hell.
Yeah, yeah. And the only reason why I think she was allowed to was because Emma is go hippie and so on and so forth. And Ish is he's gonna listen to his wife, okay. And even if he didn't agree with it, he listened to the points that Emma had to say, and I guess he just trusted how he raised her up until that point. But I'm thinking this, right? Like, if his mom is also that type of way, because she's, artist, she's also like more on the creative side. It's like I would have hoped she got a little bit more of like the urgency from Ish, because
Mm.
her mom is kind of like, I mean, her mom handles her business, obviously. She knows how to handle a rifle and everything. But I just hope that she listened to her dad. And I kind of liked when they had their little like goodbye moment, and he was like quizzing her a little bit, and the mom was like, she's like, Mom, I remember, got the rifle, I know what to do. So they're like, okay, let's do these little checkpoints before. But yeah, I'm with you. I was like, there's absolutely no way that I would have ever allowed that, especially if i'm I'm a kid who's never seen it before. Like, if I've seen it, like, I'm like, "Okay, I'm getting restless, I'm in the house." Like COVID, right? During COVID, everybody was restless because we seen it, we need to go in the house. But, like, I bet the COVID babies were just fine chilling in the house with their mom, like, or their dad or something like that. So, I guess I know the books and the Vikings wanted to make her go out, but it's just sad that she had to learn the lesson that way. But, I mean, I guess that's life, right? We all gotta walk our own paths and learn our own lessons, even if they're hard, and you want to try to protect your children so they don't have to learn those lessons that way, but sometimes it's what they need to make them who they are.
Yeah,
So
but yeah, I agree 100%. But it's just the idea of that if anything went bad, there's no
yeah.
way to contact and get help. The other thing that I was talking about with Carter and they should have addressed this, right? And then I want to talk about the newcomers that come, which is I guess 20 years has gone since the pandemic has gone. How are the roads even navigatable, if that's even a word? Because if they don't street sweep once a week, the plant life grows on the curb, is messing up stuff. 20 years of plant growth, of people not traveling on the interstates and on the roads. How are these roads even navigatable? You know what I'm like? Like that was something I wish that they would have maybe somehow addressed, because they show
Yeah.
us different buildings. Like when Ish went to the hospital,
Mm.
in the last episode, we saw how overgrown it was and how nature had taken over the building. So just imagine
Yeah.
the roads and all of that kind of stuff. So let's talk a little
Yeah.
bit about those newcomers that came, right? And they were so interesting in the first episode. And dude was like, "I got the water for you." But what were your thoughts on those newcomers in particular? That one gentleman. What was his name?
Was it Charles? Charlie?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Charles?
What were your thoughts on them coming and all of that?
Yeah, number one, the fact that they literally chased them down by following the car tracks was number one. Like, why would you go chase somebody down? Like, I understand, oh, you haven't seen people before, you want to get to know them, but one, chasing them down, that was weird. That whole peace offering thing was really weird. The whole, oh, now you're stuck with us comment was very weird. Like, you could just see he was such a calculated guy. Like, he was very calculated. It wasn't like kind of the other people that came in. They were just like, "Hey, like we just been wandering around. We're here, da 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 da." Like it was he was just seemed very calculated. Just everything he was saying, everything he was doing, like it was just really weird. I didn't like him, and I was like, "There's something up with him." Like it's weird. And then it's like the way that he was like, "Oh, this is my partner." It wasn't like my wife or anything like that. And she looked like she was getting I thought she was getting beat, like the one two. She looked like, a little bit like skittishy and squirmy, and she was just like, "Oh, like yeah, whatever Charles likes. Yeah, Charles like this, Charles like that." And I'm just like,
Yep.
why would you let if you see a woman with a man that way, why would you let that man around anybody of your family at all?
That
At
was the
all.
thing that really got me. And when he first got there, I forgot it's this quote that somebody told me, but people that are used to doing bad things, they know how to read the room because they have ulterior motives. people that are good people, sometimes you don't pick up on people like that because on the inside, internally, you're a genuine, kind person. So you're not
Mhm.
looking at how to get over on people. But it was clear when he got there that he was one of those kind of people. He was reading Ish. What kind of a man was he? Why don't you come and help us lift this thing? And Ish couldn't lift it. It was his way of saying, I'm more of a man than you, right? Let's go hunt.
Mhm.
That hunting scene pissed me off because what I thought was going to happen, well, I shouldn't say what I thought was going to happen because I know that Ish has plot armor, but in my mind, I'm like, what if he goes out there and kills Ish?
Right.
And now you get to come back in, even if you fake the funk like it was an accident, or you said, look, I wouldn't have killed him. I'm taking this shit over now. You don't
Yep.
know that guy. I'm not going hunting with anybody like that that I don't know where you could kill me or shoot me or say you accidentally shot me or whatever the case may be. But he
Right.
was always measuring ish, always
Mhm.
measuring ish. And we saw something was wrong with him. And then in particular, as things went on with the water, and then he was like, I'm not going anywhere. It became evident that he didn't want to go. And then the final episode that they showed us this week, we see that um what's her name? She gets raped.
Evie, yes.
Evie gets raped.
Mm.
I got a lot of thoughts on
Ooh.
that. Tell me about what you were thinking about that whole situation.
Well, when I was watching that, I was like, well, Patrick predicted it. He was right. Because when we had that live last week, you literally said it doesn't matter if you have water, you have food, you have resources, you have a place to lay their head. It does not matter what you have to trade when it comes to a man that wants to take advantage of a woman. And that's what you said. And I was watching it and I was like, okay, number one, wow, Patrick was right. Number two, why the heck would they have left her by herself when they already called out? Number one, I was mad at Emma. I was really mad at Emma as a woman because when you were like, oh, yeah, well, he was looking at her and it was kind of creepy, but like, I mean, I'm not going to knock him. She's beautiful. Like, she's not the first one to get caught up by somebody with beauty. I was like, ma'am, what? If that was your daughter and a random ass man was looking at her like that,
Old
that's what
man
you're
too.
gonna
He got
say.
about 15, 20 years at that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was like, why? That was weird that Emma would just say that. And like, why is Ish the man being like you saw the way she was looking at Emma? Ish was the one that brought, or looking at Evie. Ish was the one that brought it up. Number one. Number two, which we talked about this, y'all know she can't talk. You know she can't speak. So you need to protect her. You don't even know what's going to happen. Number one. But number two, I want to know if they talked to her parents about the way that that man was looking at Evie, because them two talked about it. But did they tell her parents? Because if they would have told that mama, guarantee you Evie would not have been in that little house by herself if they would have told her mom. Because the
I like
way
that.
because the
I
way
like
that her mom was reacting when she was like, "My little girl," I didn't even think she thought of Evie as her daughter until she said that. Because I
wow.
thought she thought of Evie as like, a young girl that they raised up, but she was like, "That's my daughter. He did that to my daughter? Oh no, we are killing him on sight." So I'm wondering if she even talked to the mom about that, because the mom for sure would have had Evie living in the house with her.
Yeah, that I'm about to second everything you said. And I like that point of them not telling her because the other thing, they seem so infatuated with his charisma and stuff like that. And I've always been very skeptical of people like that.
Yes.
And I'm about to tell myself, I'm gonna tell a story and I'm gonna bring it back around. So I
Okay.
need y'all to follow me, you too. So I used to do a lot of public speaking, and y'all don't know this, but I've written books and all of this kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
one of the things that was a life-changing experience for me was when I took Toastmasters. You ever heard of Toastmasters, Margot?
No, what is that?
Toastmasters is an international organization that helps people develop excellent public speaking skills and get over their fear of public speaking, so to speak. And I'm summarizing what they
Mhm.
do. And if you Google it, they have thousands of chapters throughout the world. There's
Wow.
probably 100 in Metro Atlanta.
Wow.
So I did Toastmasters, right? And they teach you how, I don't want to say manipulate, but how to be very intentional and strategic with working the audience when you're speaking to people,
Mhm.
proximity, eye contact, and fluctuations in your voice, bringing things to you when you speak. I'm trying to think, what are props, bringing props when you speak to
Mhm.
really accentuate the points and stuff that you make. That when I took that, it changed the way I relate to a lot of different people, especially like, and people laugh, they be like when I go to like churches or whatever, I see those exact same techniques, or when I watch other public speakers or pastors,
Mm.
I see the exact techniques that they use that we were taught in Toastmasters. So long
Mhm.
story short, I saw all of those things in oh boy when he got there. All the charisma, the little small things that he was doing to try to make it seem like he was less than a man, and all of those, the little small things that he was doing, flirting with people, all of that kind of stuff. But I like you, I was angry when I saw that they had old girl in that small thing out there by herself. And let's just say that is where she lives. When we have new guests and we're trying to ascertain people's motives, your ass stays in the house. Period. Flat break. Because I still don't fully know what's her situation, because at one
Mhm.
point it was like it was a trauma that makes her not talk. Then we
Mhm.
started talking when Ish was getting fucked up. We started talking a little bit in this episode. So does she
Mhm.
have autism? And some people with autism, they have expressive language disorders, things like that. Not to say that they're not intelligent, but
Right, right.
if you know she's vulnerable, whatever the fuck it is, when those strange men, especially when those strangers pulled up and it was a group of men, it wasn't a group of women. If it
Mm-mm.
was 5 women, I might have said, Evie, go, you can stay out there. But when you pull up and you got 5 men, and they wanted to, some of them had their shirts off, their abs was showing. They wanted
Yeah.
to see that these was men, right? And then she gets raped. And
Mm.
talk to me about that scene, Margot, when they was in that room debating what the fuck they was gonna do. Cause I got some thought.
And this is why Paolo, whatever his name is, the one that said no, I don't think he really even considered Evie his actual child, because they did have a child. Remember a few episodes ago, once, they showed us their love scene and then he was making that little crib in the room for them. I really don't think that he considered Evie as his own daughter, because like you said, number one, if you got these random ass men that you've never met before, you gonna have your daughter stay out there, no lock on her door. You're not gonna have a conversation with her, Evie. Don't trust everybody. Now you were here before the world went crazy, so you know men. You have no excuse, Pablo. You have no excuse. He had no excuse. So that was that part, number one. I was like, okay, he might really not think that she's his real daughter. Number two, and I thought that because the singer girl, everything goes so quick, so I forget their names, but the blonde girl, the singer girl, she was like, no, I changed my vote. Because if that happened to one of my children, I already know what I would do. My vote is yes. My vote is yes. And I don't understand why he was like, we're talking about somebody being murdered. Like, is this insane? Oh, but you're okay with your
Who gives
daughter?
a fuck?
Yeah, you're okay with your daughter being sexually assaulted, but now you want to talk about, oh, murdering somebody? Baby, no, that's what he chose. That's what he chose, and there are consequences to that when you're on my settlement. When you're into something, you've come into my home and we've given you food. We've broken bread. We've given you food. We've
Treat
given
the
you
motherfuckers like the
shelter.
damn Native American.
That part. Absolutely not. The fact that it took all of that and then she was like, please, baby, for me. No, not for me. Baby, you should do it for your daughter. You don't even consider her as your daughter? Not even that. The fact that Evie's been with y'all for almost like 10 plus years at this point.
Man,
You ain't
fuck
even
that.
gotta be my daughter.
Evie don't even need to be my daughter.
That's what I'm
The fact that you're in
saying.
our compound, the fact that you are in our compound with us, that could have been my homeboy's daughter. And that
Yeah.
happened to his daughter. What you want to do? I want to do whatever you want to do. You want to
Mm.
go ride, nigga? I'm riding too.
Let's go. Let's
There
go.
is
No
no question.
question.
There is nothing to that effect, especially with the arrogance and the stuff that he delivered.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see if that's going to cause friction, because I know I would have never looked at Jorge the same.
Never.
I would have.
Jorge. Yeah, I would have never looked at Jorge the same.
If I
Ever.
was Ish, everybody, I would be like, bro, I can never. Even my wife. I mean, his wife. There's certain things that, like, if you do to your spouse or whatever, they probably can never look at you the same again.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
can you? How can people look at that man the same when everybody's in there like, we got to handle this? Because even beyond the rape, he had decided that I wasn't going anywhere. And I think that him doing that was basically to test them and show I can do whatever the hell I want to do. And there's nothing that you guys can do about it.
And think about this. And Jorge knew that this is not the first time that he's done something like this. Because remember the conversation at the well. Was that
Break
Jorge
it
who
down.
was that Jorge who was at the well when
It
he
was a
was
lot of
with
people. Break it down.
no, so it was like two people. It was I think his name was Kobe or Corey. It was Corey, the Asian guy, and then I think it was I think it was Jorge. And they were both drinking the water. And he was like, "Oh man, this water tastes so good. This place feels like home." And then Jorge was he said it tastes better this time. And then Jorge was like, "What you
He
mean
sure
this
did.
time?" And
Yes.
he was like, "Oh, we've been doing this for a few times. Some places just feel more like home."
Yes,
So
he
then
sure did.
you knew that this man does this to people's sentiments.
Yes, they come in and they uproot shit, do what they want to do, and probably move on. Like a parasite. They're fucking parasites. They come to your compound, take your resources, do and God knows how they acquired those women. Shit, they might have went to other compound, took motherfuckers' women, killed
Mhm.
them, and kept them moving. They got this nice ass Dodge Ram or whatever he was driving, brand new, nice
Right,
ass, that expensive ass camper, pulling that camper. How y'all get
right.
all this stuff?
How'd you
And
get all that?
yeah. And like you said, just your antenna should have gone up, and there's no way I would have not have held that dude accountable. It wouldn't even been a question. And
No.
I loved the fact that Ish turned the fuck up. Tell me, talk about
My
it.
boy Ish. He said, "I'm gonna put that rock smashing to use, baby." He said, "We not smashing rocks this time. We smashing bone and flesh. This is what you get. This is
With the
what you
damn
get."
Thor hammer, with that
With the
goddamn
Thor.
Thor hammer.
He was looking like Thor.
Thor. God, he was killing him.
Oh, that was great. I commend Ish for staying cool because that man was talking about my you want to talk about my wife in front of me? Oh yeah, the last time you're gonna see me is when my your wife is reading my eulogy and I'm going down in the ground and I'm gonna take care of your children. Don't worry about your kids. I would have smacked him right there with the damn hammer. He had a lot of restraint because I would have busted up all the plans and would have just went right on anger. But
Yeah.
Ish did what he was supposed to do, and I know he's going through his little thing. But I mean, if you don't like believe in God and a higher power and stuff, even if you do believe in God and a higher power, you're gonna go through this guilt. You're gonna go through this. Who do I turn to? Who do I run to? Every man must look inside himself and see what is there. That's in the Bible, right? Every man must look inside and see what is there. Everybody does it. So I understand he's going through this, but this is what needed to happen, and he stepped up as the leader of the settlement, and that's what you got to do sometimes.
And I loved it. I loved it, and that they didn't rob Ish of this moment. I loved
Mhm.
it. And and then I love the scene when the guy, when he gave everybody the option the next morning. I just was like, why are they beating around a bush? I'd have been like, we killed that motherfucker. He raped one of our people. We killed him.
Mhm.
I'm not about to beat around a bush and be like, he's gone. He's not here. Blah blah blah. But I love when he told everybody to make a decision. Well, I loved it, but I didn't like it either because I probably would have put all the men out. But
Yeah.
but I love that he gave him a choice when that one guy said, well, I'm leaving. Then when he came back 10 minutes later, it's just like, nah, you can't come back, player. No,
He said, "Did you think about that when you were standing outside that room?
that part,
When you heard her, you know she don't speak, and you heard her struggling, calling for help, and
that
you did
part,
nothing.
that
You
damn
did
part.
nothing." And he
Yeah,
said, "Hey, hold on, man. You know what? Here's your knife back, cause you gonna need it. Cause
yes.
there's some wild animals out there."
And this is the thing. Me personally, I'd have killed him too.
That
Because
he should have,
in
honestly.
my
He should
mind,
have.
I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know if you round up with some other people. You now know our fortifications. You now know how many people we have, how many firearms we have. You're too dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were a willing participant in this shit as well. You got to go. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, I don't know if I would have even let him go.
I wouldn't have. I would have killed him too.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah. And
I
then
really would have.
yeah, I mean, and then the episode ended. We saw Ish is still having some issues with his son. And because his son was like, well, what happened? Because his son was super bonding with the other dude. And then we saw the people starting to get sick. What do you think is
Mm.
going to come from the sickness? And then also, what do you think is going to happen with that relationship with Ish and his oldest son? That their relationship, something seems to be bad there.
Oh my gosh. I think that's a really great question. I was literally just thinking, I was like, it's so sad that Ish and Alex are going through this. It makes me tear up a little bit because it's like this little boy, like, I'm not gonna say he doesn't have a life because he does, but like there's so much he doesn't get to see and experience. And then for you to have to go through this with your dad, like, and we already know that Ish had issues with his parents because he wasn't calling his parents. He was ignoring calls from his parents. Um, he we know that he had some type of problems because if you're cool with your parents, like if my mom calls, I'm answering the phone, right? Like if my dad calls, I'm answering that phone when my dad calls. So for him to not answer those calls earlier in the episodes, we know that he had some issues kind of going on, and maybe it's because he felt like he was a lone wolf. So just him having to experience that now as a parent is hard, and Alex having to experience that because Alex can't go anywhere. He can't go off like Ish when he gets older. He can't go to college. He can't go be with his rocks in solitude. Like Alex doesn't have that. So it's to be constantly reminded of that, that you feel like you're the lesser sibling. And then on top of that, your brother is a genius. Like he just built an airplane out of solar panels. What the freak? Like, and he's getting his due diligence and due credit, and it should never be a competition. But when you see, one kid, you're always going to think about the other. And Alex, like, I think they did that beautifully in the cinematography. I mean, you're a filmmaker, so just like when Emma and Ish were talking and they're like, oh, I knew you always knew about him and da 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 da, and you just see Alex in the background and it's all like not in focus, he's just going like this the whole conversation that Emma and Ish are having about how they're so happy about Joey, and then Alex is just in the background, just like this, just feeling left out, and he's always in his watchtower, and it just hurt for both Ish and Alex, and it's like neither of them deserved it. I don't know if it's anybody's fault. Like, yeah, maybe Ish could have been a little bit more, but he doesn't know how to be a parent either. And it seems like he was the only child. He was the only child. So he doesn't know how to handle a sibling, like that dynamic. So it's just really it's hard to watch on both fronts.
I like that. The thing I kept thinking about, and it kind of reminds me of like Silo, and I gotta do our Silo video probably tomorrow, whatever. Um, I'm wondering, is that young man gonna do something to compromise the compound?
Mm,
Is he going to? Because it seemed like he was willing to almost risk it all with that other dude, but then is he going to get on that helicopter thing and do something where he puts himself in harm, where other people got to go and try to save him, or something about? I feel like they're really harping in on that relationship because I think that young man is going to do something that causes the people to have to it's going to compromise the community, because it's also the first time that we're starting to also kind of see like friction and stuff like that as well, in
mhm.
the whole little colony or whatever you want to call it. But I would say, man, what would you rate this episode, Margot? In our first video we said rattlesnakes. So out of 10 rattlesnake bites,
Yes.
what
Out
would you
of
rate
10,
these two episodes?
these last two were a 9 for sure. These last two were a 9. They gave us everything. Like you said, they gave us tension, they gave us strife. We had a whole like the line attack, the recovery, the Ish taking charge. Like I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 because it was never like, okay, I'm done with this show. Like I don't need to watch the show anymore. I never said that in between these two episodes. I was like, dang, well now I'm mad. There ain't no more episodes like until the last one. So so yeah, I'm gonna give it 9 snake bites. What about you?
I'm giving it the same. Like this was a roller coaster. I was watching I was watching the show at the gym. So I was on the treadmill and I know people in the gym was like, what the fuck is this dude laughing about and stuff? Because I was just laughing at the interactions. Like when old boy got there and the little shit that he was saying and doing, why don't you list this? And then Ish could lift it. Oh my, and then Ish just like my arm is hurt. And I was like, Ish, why the fuck you tell him that? Because what he was doing was sizing you up. He was sizing
Mhm.
you up. Let's go hunting. Just all the little things that they would do, even when he was having a Jedi mind back and forth when he was talking to Ish and them through the gate, and he was quoting the poetry. Ish was quoting the poetry, and then Emma, and
Right.
it was
Sizing
like
them
this.
up.
Yeah, and I was just laughing and just
Mm.
because I was like, finally, some more intriguing and interesting dynamics because it's only so interesting it can be when it's just a compound and everybody gets along. And here you have this antagonist, and I thought it was good. What I'm wondering is now, what is the final episode going to be like? Because we only
Yeah.
got one more, and then everybody's sick and dying. What if you have to predict? What are you seeing in the episode? And the audience, you leave a comment as well.
Ugh, I don't even know. I'm like, we're already 20 years into the future now. We already jumped 20 years in 5 episodes. So I would hope there's going to be some type of resolution to this virus. Like maybe Ish finds something and it helps, or Ish loses Joey and then he spirals again and then he loses people because of a new virus. Oh, I did want to ask you this though, Patrick, because I know in the first episode, you and Candace had some words to say about when he was taking care of his parents. Um, and he didn't know the virus. I wanted to know, what did you think about, him being around Joey and keeping Joey at the house when he also doesn't know the implications of the virus wave too?
Yeah, you talking about his son?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I was thinking all of that because it happened so quick because we saw him sick and we didn't know the other people were sick until we saw all these people sitting in the goddamn hospital.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, as soon as somebody gets sick, they probably need to be quarantined and shit because you just don't know what you're dealing with. But I couldn't believe they let their freaking daughter come in there. Remember the one that came back? Like, you don't
Yeah.
know if you're gonna get sick, contaminated. We don't know what you got while you was out gallivanting and shit, searching the world. You already said, oh boy didn't make it back with you. Why didn't he? Did he die because of sickness?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming he did probably because she would have
Mm,
said he got killed or something. So I was
yeah. Well,
just
I
like,
think she said that he left. She said he left me. So
no, he did. No, she didn't.
yeah,
Are you serious?
that's why she was crying. She was like, he left me.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He must have found another girl or something.
Oh my God. And I guess my camera just turned off. Are you freaking serious? Are you gonna make me go back and watch this shit? He
Yeah, he
left
was
her?
he left.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Margot. Um, but yeah, I'm on point. I'm giving it a 9. So what are you predicting? Like if you had to guess how they gonna end this, how they gonna end this show? You just had
I
to guess.
think I think the people who are gonna die from this virus, I think the people who are sick are going to die. I don't think there's gonna be like the antivirus. I think they're gonna die, and there's gonna be another wave of sickness in the settlement. And honestly, I don't know if they're gonna have to try to regroup or something, but I don't know if they're just gonna go further into the future or if they're just gonna end it on a cliffhanger. Like, okay, well, we're just gonna have to try to survive and go through it again, and it ends with Ish kind of spiraling like he did in the first episode.
Like that. Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, you gotta end it in a way that hopefully we get more, seasons or whatever. Because I'm just like, how do you end it? And I'm with you. They gotta raise the stakes. So probably some people got to die.
Mhm.
Probably some people have got to die. And that challenges them to their core, their religion, like what they
Right.
believe, all of that kind of stuff. Um, But I'm curious, what is the virus? You know, did it mutate? Like, why all of a sudden would they now get it? And
Right.
well,
And
those new
I'm
people.
thinking with Joey too, like if both of his parents were immune, then how is this one affecting him? You know, so it has to be a different strand, a different variant, because yeah, like the people who weren't getting it are now getting it. And the offspring of those who didn't get it the first time are getting it again.
Yeah,
Are getting it now. So
it's a good point. Yeah, I'm curious to see how they explain it. But overall, good 2 episodes. Like I'm so glad that these episodes are good. I'm so
yes,
glad.
yeah. It
Um,
saved it. It saved
it, it saved it. But Margot, thank you so much for joining us, guys. We got some special stuff coming up. I can't talk too much about it. Oh my god. We got some special stuff coming up, and you guys are gonna love it. Margot's gonna be joining us on with it too. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It's coming down the pipeline. Thank you, Margot, for your support. And our
it.
videos ended, and we will catch you guys in the next video because our watch has ended.
Bye.
Peace.